The NFL is built on records, passing yards, rushing titles, Super Bowl rings, but some records, they're never getting touched. Today on FootballLore, we're breaking down the top 10 unbreakable NFL records that will stand the test of time. Let's get into it. When the NFL expanded in 1976, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers entered the league as one of two new franchises alongside the Seattle Seahawks. Unlike Seattle, however, Tampa Bay's early years were defined by failure at a level that has never been repeated. Between their inaugural season in 1976 and the first half of 1977, the Buccaneers lost 26 straight games, the longest losing streak in NFL history. What makes this record so striking isn't just the number itself, but the sheer futility on display during that stretch. The Bucs didn't score a touchdown until their fourth game, didn't win until the final weeks of their second season, and were widely mocked as one of the worst professional sports teams ever assembled. The problem started at the very top. The team had no real foundation, with head coach John McKay famously remarking that his offense's execution should be shot after a particularly rough loss. Their quarterback situation was a revolving door of players unprepared for NFL defenses, and their offensive line was overmatched nearly every week. The defense, while scrappy, spent most of its time on the field because the offense couldn't stay on the field. Between inexperience, a lack of talent, and the growing pains of building a team from scratch, the results were historically bad. So why is this record unbreakable? The NFL today is built on parity. The salary cap, free agency, and revenue sharing are designed specifically to prevent this kind of prolonged losing streak. Even bad teams can turn things around quickly with high draft picks, better scouting, or free agent signing. For example, modern expansion franchises like the Carolina Panthers and Houston Texans won games within their first year and were playoff contenders within a few seasons. The Buccaneers had none of these advantages in the 1970s. They were saddled with expansion draft leftovers and had to build an entire roster from the ground up with little support. The legacy of that 26-game skid is twofold. First, it cemented the Buccaneers' reputation as the ultimate underdog. When they finally broke through with a win against the New Orleans Saints in December 1977, players celebrated like they had won the Super Bowl. Second, it created a kind of redemption arc for the franchise, which would go on to become Super Bowl champions decades later. Today, their early futility feels like a relic of a different NFL, one where suffering came before success. No team in the modern era will ever be allowed to sink that low again, making the Bucs' 26 straight losses truly unbreakable. Adam Vinatieri is the NFL's all-time leading scorer, and the gap between him and anyone else who's ever kicked a football in this league tells you everything you need to know. Across 24 seasons with the New England Patriots and Indianapolis Colts, Vinatieri racked up an astonishing 2,673 career points. To put that into perspective, the next closest is Morton Anderson with 2,544, and Anderson played 25 seasons. Vinatieri's mark is more than just longevity. It's a combination of accuracy, durability, and the ability to deliver in the biggest moments. What makes Vinatieri's career so unique is the stage on which he scored some of his most famous points. He wasn't just a regular season machine. He hit game-winning field goals in multiple Super Bowls, including the infamous Snow Bowl kick against the Oakland Raiders in the 2001 playoffs that helped launch the Patriots dynasty. He was a perfect blend of clutch performance and consistency. While other kickers had strong seasons or stretches of dominance, Vinatieri did it for over 2 decades, while rarely missing time due to injury or decline. His role in defining championship football cannot be overstated. He literally kicked Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowl rings into existence. Now, why is his record untouchable? For one, careers this long at any position are nearly impossible in today's NFL. Kickers face immense competition, and most franchises are quick to move on if accuracy dips even slightly. Vinatieri lasted until age 47, an anomaly in a league that churns through specialists. On top of that, the NFL has subtly changed rules that limit scoring opportunities for kickers. With offenses more aggressive on 4th downs and 2-point conversions becoming more common, kickers are getting fewer chances to rack up points. Even if a great kicker came into the league today, they would need to stay elite for 20+ years without losing their job, an almost impossible standard. The legacy of Vinatieri's record isn't just in the raw numbers, but in what those points meant. He wasn't padding stats in meaningless games, he was delivering championships. His career bridges eras. He played with Drew Bledsoe in the mid-90s and against Patrick Mahomes in the late 2010s. That span alone is mind-boggling. To break his record, a kicker would need both an extraordinary career length and the perfect combination of opportunity and durability. In short, Adam Vinatieri's 2,673 career points stand as one of the most unbreakable milestones in NFL history. When Tom Brady entered the NFL in 2000 as the 199th overall pick, nobody could have imagined he would rewrite the record books. Over a career that spanned 2 decades, Brady not only became the greatest winner in NFL history, but also set a mark that may never be touched: 7 Super Bowl championships as a quarterback. In a league designed for parity, where dynasties are almost impossible to maintain, Brady built 2, one in New England with the Patriots and another with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His run began in 2001 when he took over for an injured Drew Bledsoe and led the Patriots to their first Super Bowl win in franchise history. That was just the beginning. With Bill Belichick, Brady went on to capture 6 rings with New England, including back-to-back titles in 2003-04 and one of the most improbable comebacks in history against the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51. Most quarterbacks dream of reaching the Super Bowl once in their career. Brady went 10 times. Then at age 43, he left New England and immediately won his 7th championship with Tampa Bay, proving his success wasn't tied only to Belichick or the Patriots system. So why is this record unbreakable? The NFL is structured to prevent one player or team from dominating for so long. Free agency means rosters constantly turn over, the salary cap ensures no franchise can hoard talent forever, and injuries often derail even the most promising runs. Patrick Mahomes is the closest thing the league has seen to Brady's successor, but even he would need to win 6 more Super Bowls to tie the record, something that would require 2 decades of near-perfect play. Winning a Super Bowl takes not just talent, but also health, luck, coaching stability, and organizational consistency. The odds of all those factors aligning 7 times for another quarterback are astronomically low. Brady's legacy goes beyond the numbers. He defined an era of football, outlasting rivals like Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and Drew Brees, then moving into the next generation to face Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. His career serves as a bridge between football in the early 2000s and the modern passing explosion. The sheer longevity combined with consistent excellence makes his 7 Super Bowls a record that won't just stand for years. It may stand forever. In the ultimate team sport, Tom Brady elevated himself to a level of dominance that no other quarterback is likely to replicate. Few records in NFL history are as jaw-dropping or as untouchable as Dick "Night Train" Lane's rookie performance in 1952. Playing for the Los Angeles Rams, Lane intercepted 14 passes in his very first season. To this day, that number stands as the single-season interception record, and it's made even more remarkable by the fact that Lane was a rookie who had just made the roster after serving in the military. His debut wasn't just good, it was historic, and it cemented his place in the Hall of Fame. To appreciate this record, you have to understand the era. The NFL in the early 1950s was still a run-heavy league, but when quarterbacks did throw, it was riskier. Passing techniques were less refined, receivers weren't as protected, and defensive backs had more freedom to be physical. Lane was the perfect weapon in that environment. At 6'1" and nearly 200 pounds, he combined size, speed, and an instinct for the football that made quarterbacks regret throwing anywhere near him. His aggressive style of play earned him the nickname Night Train after a popular song at the time, and he quickly became one of the most feared defenders in football. Why is this record unbreakable today? The modern NFL is designed to protect quarterbacks and wide receivers. Defensive backs face strict rules against contact, and passing efficiency is higher than ever. Interceptions have become rarer as quarterbacks throw quicker, safer passes, and teams rely heavily on short routes and timing patterns. For perspective, the modern leaders in single-season interceptions, like Trevon Diggs, who grabbed 11 in 2021, still fell short of Lane's total. And Diggs' performance was considered astonishing in today's context. Simply put, no rookie will ever get the number of opportunities Lane did, nor will they have the defensive freedom to capitalize on them. Lane's legacy is about more than numbers. His rookie season catapulted him into a career where he finished with 68 interceptions, ranking 4th all time. He became known for his ferocious hits and aggressive tackling, changing the way the cornerback position was played. But that rookie record is the crown jewel, a feat that blends talent, timing, and an era of football that no longer exists. In today's pass-happy NFL, ironically, defensive backs get fewer chances for game-changing plays. That's why Night Train Lane's 14 interceptions as a rookie in 1952 isn't just a record, it's a snapshot of a bygone NFL, one that will never be replicated. On November 11th, 1990, Derrick Thomas of the Kansas City Chiefs put together one of the most dominant defensive performances in NFL history. Facing the Seattle Seahawks and quarterback Dave Krieg, Thomas recorded 7 sacks in a single game, setting an NFL record that still stands more than 3 decades later. It wasn't just a display of athleticism, it was a masterclass in pass rushing that showed why Thomas is remembered as one of the greatest edge defenders to ever play the game. Thomas was was a unique force off the edge. Drafted out of Alabama in 1989, he quickly became the centerpiece of Kansas City's defense with his rare combination of speed, agility, and relentless motor. Against Seattle that day, he was practically unblockable. Play after play, Thomas beat offensive tackles with burst and power, collapsing the pocket before Craig had time to react. By the end of the game, Thomas had taken down the quarterback 7 times, shattering the previous single-game sack records. Ironically, despite all his heroics, the Chiefs still lost the game when Craig, escaping yet another Thomas rush, threw a last-second touchdown pass. That bittersweet ending only made the record more legendary. So why will this record never be broken? The answer lies in the evolution of the NFL. Today's offenses are designed around quick passing schemes. Quarterbacks are coached to get rid of the ball in under 3 seconds, minimizing opportunities for sacks. Offensive coordinators employ shotgun formations, spread sets, and screen passes to neutralize elite pass rushers. Even in games where defenses dominate, it's rare for a single player to notch more than 3 or 4 sacks. To reach 7, a defender would need not only a perfect matchup against a weak offensive line, but also an opponent willing to hold the ball far longer than today's quarterbacks typically do. Add in modern protections like stricter holding penalties and advanced blocking schemes, and the odds shrink even further. Thomas's record is a reminder of his dominance and legacy. Over his career, he earned 9 Pro Bowl selections and finished with 126.5 sacks before his tragic passing in 2000. He was the face of Kansas City's defense during the 1990s, inspiring fear in quarterbacks and tackles alike. The 7-sack game stands as his masterpiece, a performance that represents the peak of individual defensive destruction. In today's NFL, where schemes and rules work against defenders, Derrick Thomas's single-game sack record is untouchable. It's less a number than a monument to one of the game's greatest pass rushers. Long before Jerry Rice rewrote the record books, Don Hutson was the NFL's first true superstar receiver. Playing for the Green Bay Packers in the 1930s and 1940s, Hutson dominated his era in a way that seemed almost unfair. On October 7th, 1945, he delivered what remains one of the most absurd single-quarter performances in football history. 29 points scored in just 15 minutes of play. In a matchup against the Detroit Lions, Hutson single-handedly overwhelmed the opposition. He scored 4 touchdowns in the second quarter alone and then added 5 extra points as the team's kicker. That added up to 29 points, nearly what some entire teams scored in a full game at the time. By halftime, the Packers already led 41-0, and Hutson's day was essentially over. This kind of explosion wasn't just unusual, it was otherworldly. In today's NFL, where scoring is spread across multiple stars, one man putting up 29 points in a single quarter is unthinkable. To understand how Hutson achieved this, you need to appreciate his revolutionary role in the sport. He was a route-running pioneer, developing precise patterns and fakes that left defenders chasing shadows. In an era when the forward pass was still considered risky, Hutson turned it into a weapon, leading the league in receptions 8 times and touchdowns 9 times. He was also a true Iron Man, playing both offense and defense and handling kicking duties. Against Detroit that day, everything clicked. His routes were crisp, his quarterback Irv Comp was sharp, and the Lions simply had no answer. Why will this record never be broken? For starters, no player today has the multi-role responsibilities Hutson carried. Wide receivers don't also serve as kickers. Even if someone managed 4 touchdowns in a quarter, they wouldn't be the one adding extra points afterward. On top of that, modern defenses and substitution patterns prevent one player from dominating a game to this degree. Teams now have specialized roles, red zone packages, and strict rotations that make this kind of individual scoring binge impossible. The NFL is also built around parity. Even in blowouts, coaches rarely allow one player to pile on outlandish stats for fear of injury or sportsmanship concerns. When you think of untouchable NFL records, career interceptions might not get the same spotlight as rushing or passing totals, but Paul Krause's 81 career interceptions are in a league of their own. A safety for the Washington Redskins and later the Minnesota Vikings, Krause patrolled the secondary from 1964 to 1979, building a reputation as one of the greatest ball hawks the game has ever seen. His instincts, range, and ability to read quarterbacks allowed him to amass a total that no modern defensive back has come close to. Krause wasted no time making his mark. In his rookie season with Washington, he intercepted 12 passes, immediately establishing himself as a defensive force. After being traded to Minnesota in 1968, he became a cornerstone of the Vikings' legendary Purple People Eaters defense, helping them reach 4 Super Bowls in the 1970s. Krause's skill wasn't just about athleticism, it was his football IQ. He had an uncanny knack for being in the right place at the right time, baiting quarterbacks into mistakes and then making them pay. Why is this record unbreakable? The modern NFL game is tilted heavily toward offensive efficiency. Quarterbacks complete passes at historically high rates, receivers have more protection than ever, and defensive backs face stricter contact rules that make interceptions harder to come by. Even elite modern ball hawks can't sniff Krause's total. Ed Reed, one of the greatest safeties of the 2000s, finished with 64. Charles Woodson, a 19-year veteran, ended with 65. Among active players, no one is remotely on pace, and with shorter careers and more emphasis on coverage versatility, the odds of anyone lasting long enough to challenge 81 are microscopic. The way defenses are structured today also limits interception chances. Zone coverage schemes are designed to prevent big plays rather than gamble for turnovers. Defensive coordinators often value preventing yards over hunting picks, meaning even the best safeties and corners don't get the green light to take risks the way Krause did. Add in the fact that quarterbacks today throw the ball quicker and smarter, and you can see why 81 is untouchable. In a league built on speed, power, and short careers, Emmitt Smith's record of 18,355 career rushing yards stands as one of the most unbreakable milestones in all of professional sports. Playing 15 seasons, mostly with the Dallas Cowboys, Smith not only broke Walter Payton's legendary rushing record, but pushed the bar so high that no modern running back appears capable of reaching it. His blend of durability, consistency, and role within one of the NFL's greatest dynasties made his production almost mythical. Smith entered the league in 1990 and wasted no time establishing himself as a workhorse. Running behind the Cowboys' dominant offensive line, he led the league in rushing 4 times and posted 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. By the time Dallas won 3 Super Bowls in the 1990s, Smith was already cementing his legacy as the engine of their offense. But what truly separates him from other great backs is his longevity. While most star running backs peak for 5 to 7 seasons before injuries or workload wear them down, Smith kept producing year after year even after leaving Dallas for the Arizona Cardinals at the tail end of his career. His ability to stay on the field and churn out yards well into his 30s is why his record has become untouchable. Why won't this record be broken? The game has changed dramatically since Smith's era. The modern NFL is a passing league, and few teams build their offenses around a single workhorse back anymore. Running backs are now rotated in committees, sharing carries to preserve health and maximize efficiency. Careers are also shorter. The physical punishment running backs endure often leads to rapid decline. Consider that Adrian Peterson, one of the most dominant backs of the 21st century, finished with 14,918 yards, still more than 3,000 short of Smith's record. Frank Gore, who played an incredible 16 seasons, finished with 16,000 yards, still well shy of Emmitt's total. Even Derrick Henry, one of today's premier runners, would need multiple 1,500-yard seasons into his mid-30s to have a chance, which is unrealistic given the mileage already on his legs. Emmitt Smith's record is not just about the yards, it's about his role in redefining consistency at the position. He was never the fastest or flashiest, but he was relentless. A master of finding seams, falling forward, and wearing down defenses. His durability and production during both the Cowboys' glory years and beyond gave him a resume no one can touch. In today's NFL, where running backs are valued less than ever before, Emmitt Smith's 18,355 career rushing yards will remain one of the ultimate untouchable records. In the most physically punishing sport in America, Brett Favre achieved something that feels closer to folklore than fact. 297 consecutive starts at quarterback. 321 if you include playoffs. From September 27, 1992 until December 5, 2010, Favre never missed a game due to injury. For 18 straight seasons, he took the field week after week, regardless of the punishment he endured the Sunday before. It's a streak so improbable that it may be the single greatest example of durability in NFL history. Favre wasn't playing a position sheltered from contact. He was under center, absorbing bone-crushing hits from defenders intent on ending his streak. He played through broken fingers, sprained ankles, concussions, and a host of other injuries that would sideline most players for weeks. His playing style only added to the punishment. Favre wasn't a check-down quarterback. He extended plays, took risks, and often stood in the pocket until the last possible second before releasing the ball. Yet somehow, through sheer toughness and resilience, he answered the bell every single week. Why is this record unbreakable? The modern NFL has changed in ways that make such a streak impossible. First, there's a heightened focus on player safety, particularly at quarterback. Concussion protocols are far stricter today. What Favre played through in the 1990s and early 2000s would sideline quarterbacks immediately in today's league. Teams also prioritize long-term health, often holding out injured players rather than risking further damage. Even elite Ironmen like Phillip Rivers, 240 straight starts, and Eli Manning, 210 straight, eventually saw their streaks end. With today's medical oversight and the speed of the game, no quarterback will ever approach Favre's number. The sheer consistency of Favre's streak also stands out. To play 18 seasons without missing a game, a quarterback must avoid catastrophic injury, maintain his starting job without interruption, and perform well enough to justify staying on the field. That trifecta is virtually impossible in today's era of quick coaching changes, constant media scrutiny, and the relentless search for younger, cheaper talent. Even Tom Brady, who played 23 seasons, saw his streak broken by an ACL tear in 2008. When people talk about unbreakable NFL records, one name comes up more than any other: Jerry Rice. Over a 20-year career with the San Francisco 49ers, Oakland Raiders, and briefly the Seattle Seahawks, Rice set a standard for excellence that remains untouched. His most famous and unassailable mark is 22,895 career receiving yards. To put that into perspective, he leads the all-time list by nearly 6,000 yards, an unfathomable gap in a league where season leaders today rarely surpass 1,800 yards. Rice's career was built on a foundation of unmatched work ethic. Drafted 16th overall in 1985 out of Mississippi Valley State, he entered a 49ers offense already loaded with stars like Joe Montana and Roger Craig. But Rice quickly became the focal point, revolutionizing the wide receiver position with his precise route running, conditioning, and consistency. Over his career, he logged 14 seasons with over 1,000 yards, led the league in receiving yards 6 times, and helped the 49ers win 3 Super Bowls. Even in his late 30s, Rice remained productive, posting over 1,200 yards at age 40 with the Raiders. Why is this record unbreakable? Longevity is the first factor. To even approach Rice's yardage, a wide receiver would need to average 1,500 yards for 15 straight seasons, something no player in history has come close to doing. Careers simply don't last that long anymore. Injuries, wear and tear, and roster turnover make it nearly impossible for receivers to sustain dominance over 2 decades. Larry Fitzgerald, one of the most durable and productive receivers ever, finished with 17,492 yards, still more than 5,000 short of Rice's total. Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, and Antonio Brown each had stretches of dominance, but their careers either ended early or tailed off before coming close. Modern NFL trends also work against any challenger. Passing offenses are more spread out today, distributing targets across multiple receivers, tight ends, and running backs. Even elite receivers share opportunities in ways Rice never had to. Additionally, player mobility means fewer superstars spend their entire careers in systems perfectly tailored to their strengths, as Rice did under coaches like Bill Walsh. Add in the reality that most receivers begin declining in their early 30s, and Rice's production well into his 40s looks even more impossible. And that's our list of the top 10 unbreakable records in NFL history. Which one do you think is the most untouchable? Did we miss one you'd add to the list? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into football's greatest records, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to FootballLore, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Until next time, keep the lore alive.